All right. All right. So again, welcome. We'll just have a couple of slides and talk a little bit about the what you need in order to run Monterey. Of course, every Mac that ships as of November of 2021 will have Monterey pre-installed. Everybody who had a Mac before that will have to download and install it. And in order to do that, you do have to have a few things as far as what type of Mac, how much memory, how much storage, in order to properly install it. And so we went through all this. So these are the basic requirements for the type of Mac. You've got to be running a MacBook from 2015 or later, MacBook Air from 2015 or later, and MacBook Pro from 2015 or later. For Mac Minis, they have to be from 2014 or later. Your iMac also from 2015 or later, the iMac Pro from 2017 or later, and the Mac Pro Tower from 2013 or later. I will note Apple did have their Worldwide Developer Conference last week, and they did announce the next version, macOS 13 Ventura, and these specs will go up. So not all the machines here that support Monterey will support Ventura. In order to install Monterey over an existing version of macOS, you need to be running at least macOS 10.9 Mavericks or later. You need a minimum of 4 gigs of memory, and that shouldn't be a problem because most Macs now ship with a minimum of 8. So you should be covered there. More memory is always better. You need at least 26 gigs of free storage on your local hard drive. If you're running macOS Sierra or later, or 44 gigabytes if you're running Mac OS El Capitan or earlier. Again, more storage space is better. If you have less than 26 gigs free on your main hard drive, then you have more problems than just trying to install the operating system, I will tell you that. Many of the features of the Mac operating system do require an Apple ID, so things like continuity and handoff, the universal control. These options typically require you are signed in with your Apple ID. Also, a lot of these options now require Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. Also, many features like Apple's online digital assistant Siri also require internet access. And of course, you need internet access in order to download and install the Mac operating system. As of High Sierra and later, you must be connected to the internet when you install the operating system. This is so that the system can install any firmware updates that have become available since the release of the Mac operating system. So these are the basic requirements. As long as your Mac meets these, you should have no problem installing it. And of course, if you purchase any Mac these days, it's going to have Monterey pre-installed on it as well. In addition, Apple now has basically 2 different hardware platforms. They've got the older Intel-based platform, and they've got the newer Apple Silicon, or M1 and now M2 based processors. And so those also have some different attributes depending on which one that you have. Most of the main differences in running the software. The newer Apple Silicon-based Macs will run most universal software. So there's several categories of software that will run on different Macs. You've got Intel native, which will obviously run on the Intel platform. You've got Universal, which will run on both Intel and on Apple Silicon. Of course, you've got Apple Silicon native apps, which will not run on Intel systems. And then you've got iOS and iPadOS apps that will work on Apple Silicon as well, because they are essentially the same hardware platform. All of the apps, regardless of whether they are Mac or iOS, iPadOS, can be purchased through the App Store. Again, not all iOS or iPadOS apps will run on your Apple Silicon, and there are, because iOS, iPadOS apps are mostly touch enabled, that might require additional hardware like a trackpad. So if you have a desktop system like an iMac, you might need to purchase one of these Magic trackpads in order to use some of that software effectively. All right. That's pretty much done with the slides. So some of the new features that Apple has included are a feature called Quick Note. So if you're doing research, let's say I'm on Safari. Hide this. And I'm just doing some research on cephalopods. And I can go to Wikipedia. Maybe I want to gather some of this information to put in my report. I can just bring up a quick note with a trackpad or mouse and go down to the corner, and the little thing will pop up, and you can just click on that, and that'll bring up this quick note function. And so here, I can go ahead and simply select whatever information that I want. That's way too much. And just copy that, and I can just paste that into my quick note. And I can do that, and then I can pull this information and put it into my report. I could also just copy and paste this between different apps, but there's a bunch of stuff I want to grab in quick succession. I can easily do that. And so if I open up the actual notes application, so here are all my notes, and there's also a whole section here just for your quick notes. And so that can make it a lot easier to locate things. In addition, you can actually add tags to your notes. So again, simply by, let me just open up my tags here. Simply by adding a # and then a keyword. I can't spell. I can now search for that content within the note. And in fact, if I click on that keyword, it will display all of the notes that have that particular keyword associated with it. So you can now quickly jump through, and I can grab multiple. So I got different notes here that are all have that same tag. So it's easier now to highlight content in a note and organize multiple notes and view them in a much easier to view way. This is basically Apple has added, ever since 10.7, Apple has added this tags feature to the Mac operating system that allows you to add tags to any file or folder, or now we can add tags within applications like Notes, and that allows us to quickly and easily organize different content within our application to make life work a lot better. Another feature of the Mac operating system is something called live text. And so basically, if you are on the internet and you run into some text, so let's just say images of signs. All right, so here's a picture of a sign, for example. And so with live text, and essentially I could click on this and be able to eventually allow me to actually select this text just like that in the image, copy that. And if I go back to the Notes app here, we'll create a new note. And so now it has some problems with the text here. So maybe that's not the best example. That's odd of it. But essentially, what we're doing is we're able to grab text from any image. Here we go. By clicking and dragging. And then we can copy and paste that into other documents. There we go. That's a little better example. So, and you could use this for translation as well. You can do this not just with stuff online. You can actually, any image-based format, including PDFs and so on. This is live text. Yes. So essentially, basically, any image with text in it, you can now actually copy and paste. So you can select the text, copy and paste it into a document. So let's say you take a picture of someone's business card with your phone or tablet. Then you could, in that image, so it's not just images here you find online, pretty much any image that has text in it. So let me hide this. So I've got, let me just go to a different message here, notes. So for example, let's say take a screenshot of this window here like that. And so now get my access to my screenshots. Let me go to my desktop here. Well, this will work. So this is an image. This is a screenshot on my desktop here. I can just grab this text and select it. And again, go back to my notes app and then just plug that into my note. Just like that. So whether it's online, looking at images on the internet, whether it's going through images in your Photos app or viewing them in the Finder, and that was just with Quick Look. I hadn't even opened that image up in an app. If I go back, Quick Look is a feature from Apple where you can simply view any item just by hitting the space bar and looking at that. So again, here's some text here, and just grab and select that, copy and paste it. So this is just a screenshot, which is a portable network graphics or PNG image that I'm doing that with. And the system will recognize that and pull out the text. So that's a really helpful feature. As I said, you might have in the past, you might have taken a digital image of somebody's business card, or you might take pictures of notes from somebody else in a class. And so this makes it a lot easier to try to transcribe that data rather than actually have to manually retype it in a word processor or text editing program. You can simply now select it, copy and paste, and then make whatever changes that you need to do to that. Not a major earth-shaking feature, but still kind of cool all of the same. In the Maps app, they added a number of features to the Maps app, but one of the things that they did was you've got this now interactive globe function. So when you launch the Maps app, it usually starts out in some basic map, but if I zoom out all the way, I now have this globe, and I can spin the globe. I can run around, but it's completely interactive, and I can zoom into whatever area that I want. Yeah. Oops. Flip around. This is where I grew up, Ketchikan, Alaska. That's my hometown. But I mean, it's not an earth-shaking feature, but if you've ever wanted to have one of those globes in your office and spin and then pick something, you can now do that. But again, you can go pretty much anywhere and view anything and zoom in where you want to zoom in.
James,
get more information about any particular element. Yes.
Can you record that as you're spinning the globe and zooming in? Can you make
yes.
a video
yes
of it?
and no. I mean, the Maps app itself does not have a recording option, but you do have still QuickTime Player. Let me bring up the QuickTime Player. So QuickTime Player, if you didn't know this is something you had built into it. The QuickTime Player has a screen recording function. So I go to File, New Screen Recording. And I can actually select the portion of the screen that I want to record. So I can just come over here and record just where the globe is at. Like that. And I can just start recording. Cancel that. And so now again, while I'm recording, I can perform whatever the functions are, spin the globe, zoom in and zoom out. I want to do that thing on the, like they do on the news where they zoom in and all the way down to someone's street kind of a thing. You could actually do that. And then once you have, once you're done recording, player, that'll generate that movie. So here's my recording. And you can see that's where it started with that. If I play this, and you can adjust the area that I selected. And I think there's an option where if you don't want the cursor to appear, you can tell the cursor to not appear. So yes, you can essentially record that animation if you wanted to.
Okay, that's cool. Thank you.
There's a little helpful tip. If you did not know, you have screen recording functionality built into your Mac operating system through QuickTime Player. A lot of people dismiss QuickTime Player, but it is still a pretty neat, decent application. All right, let me quit that. So there's a bonus option. Another new feature that Apple added is actually, it's not new in Apple's ecosystem. It's only new to the Mac in Monterey, and that's shortcuts. This is something that's actually been, as a number of technologies that are a part of the macOS now, started out on the iOS, iPad OS. So things like Siri was introduced with the iPhone 4, and that eventually came to the Mac. Continuity, where you can manage your documents and resources on multiple devices through handoff, meaning I can start working on a document on one device and finish it on another. I can make calls from my computer or send texts on my computer through my phone. Again, all through continuity and handoff. And Apple has been improving this. And so now we have things. Another thing we'll be talking about shortly is AirPlay to Mac. And of course, the universal control kinds of things. We'll do demo those in just a little bit. But for shortcuts, you have the ability to create automated actions, things that if you click on them, they'll perform a number of steps to do something for you. And in earlier versions of the Mac OS, we had these things called AppleScript, which was a scripting language. You actually had to do some kind of basic programming to perform all these functions. And so you had to know, what things a program could do for you. And you had to be able to write the script out in a particular syntax, very similar to programming. Then we got Automator. And Automator is like the precursor to shortcuts. Automator is a sort of and here are the different types of things you can do Automator. This is sort of a visual programming experience. So basically I can select a workflow. I've got all these different widgets that I can do. So for different options, like for calendars, I can add or remove or filter events. For the internet, I can access different options for grabbing a URL and going to a particular web page or getting an text from an article, and so on. So these are visual ways of programming in a sense. A lot of the stuff you could do through AppleScript, but it was a lot easier to just drag these things over and build them to do what you want, basically. I'm not going to save that. So a new thing now is shortcuts. So shortcuts allows you to create actions. It's possible to use shortcuts for converting SVG images to forms in Keynote, shapes. I don't know. It's possible. I'd have to do a deeper dive into it to find out. But shortcuts, you can create your own, or you can download shortcuts created by other people. And one of the other cool things about shortcuts is many of them are cross-device compatible, meaning that you can create a shortcut that can work and pretty much do the same thing on your Mac, your phone, or your tablet. Now, not everything that can be done on any device is cross-platform, but many of the things are. So I can go to the gallery and I can see what types of shortcuts are available. So you got shortcuts for accessibility, shortcuts for the macOS, fun and games with Siri. So all these different things. So you can have you can set up a true or false game, a music quiz, or a haiku generator. And I can simply add that to my shortcuts app. Get stuff done. So it's turning text into audio. Grab that. Oh, already have it. Got some essentials, create a meeting note. Let me see if we've got anything for images. We got a bunch of stuff for Safari. You all the GIFs. You can convert photos. So there are some options for converting. You can convert photos to GIFs. So I imagine you can convert images like PNGs or SVGs to something that Keynote would understand or be able to use as a shape. So there are some conversion options.
James.
Yes.
So I just opened shortcuts on my other screen here, and under all shortcuts, I have a total of 6. How did you get all of the ones you have?
You go up to the top where it says gallery, and you can view what's available. You can search.
Thank you.
So if I type in image, oops, so I spell it right, image.
Yeah, I see
So
now.
these are all the pre-built image shortcuts. So get images from the current web page. That could be handy. Message your most recent photo, email your photo. So nothing about, interesting, they don't have the conversion ones for the GIF. Let me see if they've got anything for SVG. No, it doesn't look like it. They do have the ones for GIF. Let's see, PNG or JPEG. So nothing pre-built for any of these, which means you'd probably have to go and build your own. I got some quick actions here. Got the starter shortcuts. These are the ones that come with that. So now you can create your own shortcuts. So I go to File, I can say New Shortcut, and I get an option that's similar in many regards to Automator. So here I can view all the different actions that I can create or work with. So here's the document ones. I'm just trying to see if there's anything for image conversion. You're going to append things to your notes. Make HTML from rich text. So again, we can search for, let's see if there's a SVG or image. So there are a number of image options, but it doesn't look like, so make GIF. It doesn't look like there's anything necessarily that would convert an SVG to something that Keynote would understand. It doesn't look like there's an action for that specifically. There might be some ways around that. Shortcuts can also incorporate AppleScript and Automator workflows. So if there is an Automator option that will do what you want, you can work with that to convert that to a shortcut. I make that work. So let's say I want to create a shortcut that will crop an image. Just drag that in here. Say show more to get more details. I can say position the center, and I can crop it to a specific width. Let's make that 200. And if we want, we can add something about that to get an image. And we can specify what we get that from. So we can get the image from the clipboard. We just have to copy and paste the image first, or get device details. I could also say flip the image. Oh, here can convert image. Let's see. JPEG. If it's not a JPEG, I can convert it to that. Nothing for SVG here though, so I'm not sure about that. So again, I can add all the actions that I want. I can adjust the options for each of these elements, and then I could save this shortcut once I'm happy with it. I can actually run it to test it. So and again, it's trying to pull something from that in the shortcuts. I'll have to look into that. That's not something that, although let's see. If we go to Apple's support site, because there's a lot. We can also Google it. So here's a whole YouTube video that talks about that. So I don't know if that will help. Let me put that in the chat. So, but I mean, you could do the same thing, and there's always a way to locate whatever it is that you are looking for. So you can say convert, crop, and flip image, and save that. And so then I could run that particular shortcut. So again, shortcuts are simply a way to automate something you might do a lot. So any kind of repetitive task. Plus, there are all kinds of other things. I said you can create your own shortcuts. And as you learn more about that, you can create more complicated ones, or you can run existing ones. So here's the haiku generator. I just click on that and run that, and that will generate a little haiku. Okay. They want a 2-syllable instrument, guitar. Flute's 1 syllable. Saxophone's more. Oh, well, what the heck. I'll just use guitar then. I don't know too many. So, There's your haiku. You can also turn text into audio. And you could copy and paste that into there. And now we have an audio file, which did not play. Interesting. So shortcuts are just a way, again, to automate tasks that you might do on a regular basis or perform certain features or functions. And again, this is something that's been on your iPhone and tablet for a while, and now has come to the Mac in Monterey. All right. So let's talk a little bit about AirPlay to the Mac. Prior to Monterey, if you wanted to show your screen, like if your phone or your tablet, this might not show up because of the background. So I've got my tablet here. Let me wake it up. If I wanted to demonstrate something on my phone or my tablet, I would have to use a third-party program to display that on my screen. But with Monterey, every Mac is now an AirPlay receiver. The program that I used prior to this, what did I use? Reflector. So there's a company called AirParrots, and they have a program called Reflector. And Reflector turns your Mac into an AirPlay receiver. Now, we don't even need to do that. Now, there are some things you do need to configure it. So if I go to System Preferences, I think I go down to Displays here. So you've got your options for universal control. You can even add, you can even use your tablet as another display. Not there. AirPlay receiver. It's in sharing. All right, so in the sharing preference here, you've got your AirPlay receiver options. You have to turn that on your Mac in order to be able to do this. And you can allow AirPlay for the current user, anyone on the same network, or everyone. And you can even require a password. So not anybody can just pop in to your screen and display something for you. So I'll just do that. All right, so again, this type of technology requires Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. So once I have enabled this feature, I can go to my tablet and go to my AirPlay menu on my tablet, and I can specify my computer as my AirPlay receiver. And so now, get out of this. Now I can display my screen. I can run a browser or an app. So here is a text editing app. This is the Monterey book that I'm currently studying. You can demonstrate pretty much anything at this point on your device. Now notice it's blocking everything out. So it is putting up everything just for this one thing. I've got my notes, TV guide, Safari. So you can pretty much, and it supports rotation. So if I rotate the screen on my device, it will rotate on the screen. So now I can pretty much put my phone or tablet screen right on my computer. Let me stop mirroring that. Now, some of the other third-party tools do not take over your whole screen. You could actually still demo other things on the Mac side, but this is a step up. And this works not just for say phone or tablet, but any other Mac. So let me go ahead and on this Mac over here, where's my screen information? Here we go. Get to my, where's my, I'm just trying to get to the option on my screen where I can display this. Where's the control? Oh, that's right. Way to go. That's probably why. Certain features of Monterey do not work with certain Macs. So as an example, that spinning globe feature doesn't work on a number of Intel-based Macs. Let me demonstrate that. Let me go ahead and. So you do have to have the right Mac for some of these new features. Not all of them will be available in all of your devices. Let me go ahead and this up. I'm going to share the screen here with my other device. Where are you? Not the one. Here we go. So this is my other computer, and if I go to the Maps app, so again, if I try to zoom out, it only goes down to the flat map. I can't get it to go into the globe. This is a 2017 13-inch MacBook Pro. There's an Intel system. So that feature will work on absolutely on any Apple Silicon-based Mac, and it might work on some of the later model Intel-based Macs, but on some of the earlier Intel that support Monterey, not all of the features are available. Let me see if I can do the screen sharing from a different computer. Hold on. I'm going to quit out of this. Go to my Apple Silicon-based Mac here. I'm running this webinar from an Apple Silicon Mac Mini, and I also have a 14-inch Safari here. I have a 14-inch MacBook Pro Apple Silicon, the M1 Max chip. All right, so there we go, screen mirroring. So this was not an option on my. So here is my 14-inch MacBook Pro, and it's projecting to a different. So I can view that and see what's going on. So I can project any computer screen that's supported. And go ahead, let me turn this feature off. It's going to a much higher resolution that makes it much more difficult to see things now. Hold on. There we go. So AirPlay to Mac now works pretty much turns your Mac into an AirPlay receiver. So you don't need an Apple TV. So you could AirPlay from any device to an Apple TV to a television, but now you can AirPlay pretty much to any device. Can you link to project from an Apple TV? Well, actually, I mean, this AirPlay feature has been a part of the Apple TV forever. And in fact, some of the newer TVs, I just bought last year, I got a 50-inch TV, LCD screen. It's one of those new smart TVs, one of those stupid smart TVs. And it has Apple AirPlay built in. I don't even need my Apple TV just to put my iPad or phone or even another computer on the screen. It's built into the TV. So some of the newer TVs for this one particular function don't necessarily need Apple TV. But yes, this feature is compatible with Apple TV. You can project your screen just like you could before through an Apple TV. All right. Another feature that we have is something called shared with you. And so basically, if someone texts you an image or images or shares with you, say, websites, then those things will appear in a shared with you section. So if I go to the messages app, for example, and if someone sent me a photos, and I'm not sure why it's not showing up here, but typically you would have a shared with you section in the messages app, and that would display just the images that were shared with you, basically. And that's in every app that supports this feature. So the Photos app, again, if you had photos there that someone had shared with you, they would show up there. Let me just see if I've got anything and shared with you. But in each app, yeah, I'm not seeing the item there. So either I've not done it correctly, or it has to be done some other way. Although I did do it with this. So there's usually a column, and same thing if I go to Safari and open up the sidebar. Again, anything. So here's here's the receipt shared with you links. So I don't currently have any links that have been shared with me. But let me go ahead and share one from my device here. We'll just say support@apple.com. All right, so let me see if this will work with AirDrop. All right, so there is that. That still didn't show up. Oh, all right. So I have to text this. So let me grab my phone. I'm trying to think if I have a device plugged in with a different Apple ID. Oh. Let's see if I plug something else in another iPad here. Let's see what Apple ID I've got on this. Still me. Yeah. Let me see if I can message myself. Let me see what Apple ID I've got plugged in here. I'm always in the same Apple ID. I need something plugged into a different Apple ID. Maybe I can just. Hold on, I'm going to sign with a different Apple ID here. Everything I have is two-factor authentication, so I got to get a code here. Give me a second. Okay, 091. All right. So I will try to text this to my regular, which is done signing in. There we go. So I will text this to my regular phone. Okay. All right. So now I'm typing the message. This will just be the support sites. Okay, so. And it shows up everywhere I have a message. Let me open up the messages app. So here's the Apple support site there. So hopefully that should show now up under shared with you. It's still not showing up under shared with you. I thought that would. But anyway, the idea is in any app that supports content that you can get from other sources, there'll be a shared with you section in that app that will display just that shared content that you've received. That's the idea with this. Now, the last official thing I have on my list is something called FaceTime AirPlay. We'll see how this works. With FaceTime AirPlay, essentially, you can, again, display your screen to somebody else, or you could essentially watch movies with other people. So you have a multi-session, if you have a multi-contact FaceTime session going on, you can actually all be watching the same movie and commenting on it, just like you were sitting in the theater and joking about a movie that you're watching that maybe you're not too enthused about. Something like Mystery Science Theater 3000, where the guy's sitting there and riff on old sci-fi films. So the same kind of idea. Let me see if I can get a FaceTime session going between two devices here. All right. So let me bring up FaceTime on my iPad here. And okay, we'll see if this works. Well, it's not going here. Let me try something else here. I might not be. I might need to sign in with. Let's see, where are you? See which account I'm signed in with. I might need to sign in with my other account. Yeah, no, it's signed in with my other account. Let me try signing in with my other Apple ID here. Just a second. I just need to have 2 different Apple IDs in order to do the FaceTime session to make this work. So we'll get through this, and then we'll have some questions and answers, hopefully. Now, if you want to find out more details about all of the different options, let me hide this. I'd say all the different features of Monterey. You can go to Apple's website. I go to apple.com and I click on Mac and then go to Monterey. They have a nice little summary that's kind of nice, all the different features. So goes through some of the basics. This is what we're talking about here. SharePlay, or again, you can view your screen. You project your screen of your device to anybody else through FaceTime. Watch Together allows you to stream movies and TV shows while on a FaceTime chat. So you'll be watching together. Same thing with music. And just share your screen. So these are all different options. So this goes through some of the basics, but if you want to see everything, just click on show all the features. And this goes through in much more detail all of the different new capabilities of the different parts of that. Focus is another one. Focus allows you to limit the kinds of content that you are viewing at any given time. So with focus filters, you can now just focus on, say, work content. And so only you can receive messages just from your work contacts. You can view content related to work, and you can change your focus simply by changing the settings there. And so you can create different focus options and switch between them depending on what you want to do at any given time. And you can share that across all of your devices, meaning that if you enable a focus set of options, that can be applied not just to your Mac, but to all your devices so that everything is in sync essentially with your particular focus. And typically what focus does is it works to limit people who can contact you, content that you can see. So you can limit items in your calendar to just say things that should be focused on at that point in time, messages from people, websites, and so on. Still waiting for this to clock out here to make that happen. So that's another new feature of the Mac OS. Again, that was something that came over from the iOS, iPad OS. Again, we talked about some of the notifications. They've got a bunch of other things that are in notifications. We've got the tags and the tag browser and notes. Custom smart folders. Again, you can actually organize notes in specific folders by the type of content that they have. So you could actually set up a folder that automatically pulls in anything that, say, has a certain tag in it. And things like mentions, which means if you are mentioned in a chat, then you will have that notification. Quick notes, we talked about that. Oh, universal control. While I'm waiting for this to happen, let's talk about universal control. So universal control, I think, I'm not sure if it's still in beta or not, but it's been released with Monterey. And what universal control allows you to do is control your Mac or other device nearby just by moving to one edge of the screen or not. Now, just as with AirPlay, you have to go to System Preferences. And in this case, we do go to this Display Preferences. And so here are your universal control options down here. So click this button. And so you can say, I want to allow the pointer and keyboard to move between any nearby Mac or iPad. Push to the edge of the display to connect to a nearby Mac or iPad. And then you can automatically connect to any Mac or iPad. So anything that if you've connected to it before, you can connect to it again. So basically, I would slide my mouse cursor off to the right edge of the screen, and that would then go over to my other device. So let me put my iPad back on display here. So here is my mouse. This is, maybe it doesn't work while we're displaying on the screen. Interesting. But if I pull it over, it does pop over. Let me see if I have a reflector on here. No, that's not. I don't have it on. I don't have it installed on this computer. I'll have to change that. Let me see if I can get screen sharing to work with my other device. But basically, I'm now able, by pulling my mouse over to the edge, it pops over and it's now running. It is now controlling my iPad. Let me see if I can get this to work on my other computer here. No, that may not support it. But my other, where is it? I may have to move this closer. Give me a second. It has to be a nearby Mac or device. Let me turn off my iPad. I've got my 14-inch MacBook Pro here. Let me drag it over to see if I can get to that. There we go. So let me turn on screen sharing so I can screen share. All right, well, let me try screen sharing to this computer and then see if this will work. I can demonstrate this. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and just pop this over. There we go. So this, you can see this is on. So I just moved it all the way over. And so now this is controlling my computer. So if I want to go to a different website, let me go ahead and just add a new web page here. I'm controlling my computer from the keyboard and mouse attached to my Mac Mini that I'm demonstrating this with. So this is, so that's a website there. I mean, this is my, I can't go up and move this window because I'm actually, this is on my other Mac. But that's this. Now to get back, I just drag to the right edge of the screen. And so now you can see I'm back here. And I can move this window around. This is just a view of my screen. But again, if I go all the way to the right edge, it goes right to this computer. And now I have control of it. And again, you can do this with up to 3 devices. So I could have a tablet and another Mac on one side and a tablet on the other. I can move back and forth between those different elements. So with universal control, you can easily manage multiple devices with one keyboard and trackpad. This is still not. Trying to see if I have another device here that's plugged in with a different Apple ID. This phone's, yeah, it's still charging. So I'm not sure I'm going to be able to demonstrate the SharePlay through the FaceTime. I have to make a connection. All right. Now, this is still trying to sign out, so I can't sign in with that. But still, those are most of the new things that we were going to talk about today. So we'll open it up for questions. If there's anything I can show you, let me turn off screen sharing. I will say the FaceTime screen sharing thing does actually work pretty well. And that's so you can display images or show videos or presentations. Anything that you could do to share content between 2 devices locally on a Mac, you can do over the internet through FaceTime. As long as you establish a FaceTime connection. To access that, you would just tap on the little preview of your image and choose the options to share. This is not going to pop up to me to demonstrate this, but you can see that. All right. So any questions about anything about Monterey that you still have that I'd be more than happy to answer if I can. If there's anything else that you want to see for this session, I'm more than happy to demonstrate anything else. Yes, no, maybe. This session is being recorded, so in about a week after they've edited it, then you would be able to review this session if you want. All right. Otherwise, a couple of things before you go. One, thank you for attending our webinar. I'm hoping that you're walking out of here with a little bit more information about macOS Monterey than you did when you walked in. I know, as alumni, and be sure to definitely fill out the evaluation. That helps us provide better content for you in the future. But also, after you fill out the evaluation, you'll receive an email from FMC saying that you're now an alumni of the FMC training program. Typically, they'll offer things like discounts to future classes. We do offer more comprehensive classes on macOS Monterey. We have a one-day class that's just an introduction to Monterey and walks through basic setup and some troubleshooting options as well. We've got a certification class. It's a 3-day class that covers pretty much everything in Monterey in a lot more detail, from installing, configuring, troubleshooting, and maintaining the operating system. We cover a lot of different content in that regard. You can see more about our classes by going to fmctraining.com/browse-courses. You can also find out more about FMC Training. We have a Facebook page, we have an Instagram page, and of course, we're on Twitter. FMC also works with a number of technology partners to provide more content and information. And one of those is Dell. And so we have a partnership with Dell, and they do offer discounts on their equipment for FMC alumni. So if you go to dell.com/FMC training, you can find out more about our partnership with Dell. We even have a video. If you go to vimeo.com/418-046-352, there's a whole video there that you can check out. And again, there are promotional offers that you can take advantage of for Dell hardware. In fact, I own 2 Dell monitors that I use externally for different devices. And they're actually pretty good monitors. And then we also have another partnership with a company called Ceramonic. Ceramonic is a purveyor of all of the types of equipment that you need to do a webcast, a podcast, FaceTime, if you want to, anything streaming, anything you want to do that way. They provide microphone stands, video stands, tripods, backgrounds, headsets, pretty much all of the different pieces of hardware, audio interfaces, anything you need in order to do a podcast or stream live online or do video chat or even performing online classes, whatever types of things that you want to do related to streaming content, they have the hardware to help you get there. And again, you go to ceramonicusa.com to find out more about that. And they are offering a discount to FMC alumni. If you use the code VIP support 20, they'll give you 20% off of one of their home base professional kit solutions. So once again, that pretty much concludes our broadcast day. Once again, I'm more than happy to answer any additional questions you may have and so on. Otherwise, thank you very much for attending. Maybe we'll see you in one of our future classes, but definitely enjoy the rest of your week.